have updated our settings, we have understood the fees, and we understand the impact on our margin, and we are all good to go. The next step is we want to create our product. There's a couple of ways of creating new products, and for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to show you how to do it using our single listing function, which is where we can create a product within the portal. The other way, which I'm not going to show you in this video, is you can do it in bulk using a load sheet, which is an Excel sheet. But this is a far more easier to follow process, and you can self-correct why before you submit. So I think for the purpose of this exercise, let's use the single listing function first. And once we've succeeded in doing that, we can always move to an Excel sheet if you need to list lots of products and it makes sense to do it in bulk. So please bear with me. This is going to be a detailed video, but it's really important to understand how the catalog function works, to understand how titles are formed, and to make sure, and I will call out points where sellers generally go wrong and where they struggle to create their listings. So look out for those call outs, and let's see if we can get you successfully creating a listing first time around. So the starting point is to go to listings and then go to add new listings. This here is a table of previously submitted listings. It's just a test account, which is why it's a bit messy. But your starting point here would be add new listing, and you would say add a single listing. So this is the start of your journey. The starting point is we need to select which category. In this portal, we call vertical category at the same time. So there's two ways you can do it. You can navigate on the left-hand side here. If it's easy for you to follow and to find your category this way, that's fantastic. Otherwise, you can search. I want to list a mug. What you will find as well is once you have selected verticals more than once, it saves them and you'll be able to find them more easily on your home vertical page here. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'm just going to try out the search. So if I search, I can see mugs, home kitchen accessories mugs. So that's going to be the vertical for me. It gives you some images. That's exactly what I would like to sell. So I know I found my correct vertical. The next step would be to select brand. Very important to capture this accurately the first time. So if I want to call it test mug, really make sure you got your spelling right, you got your spacing right, because once you click check brand here, that is going to be it's going to capture it as you've inputted it into that field. So you click check brand, and here you can create new listing. The reason why the workflow is like this for now is that in future, if we ever want to do, if there ever want to be some kind of gating on certain brand names and things like that, we have the functionality to do that. But for now, you can just create a new listing. So this is the section where you create your product page by inputting the correct information. So this first section here is your product photos. This is your price and stock and how many days it takes you to create the label and shipping information, that type of information about the product. Then here, which is the most important part, is your actual product description. So this is where you'll input attributes linked to the product. And then here is additional optional attributes that you can input, but it's not required. So if we start with this photos, if you click edit here, it gives you options to upload photos. So there's also some guides in terms of what's required. So you've got the minimum size, and obviously you need to make sure that it's on a white background and things like that. Your photo is very important that you have good quality, clear photos, because this is going to help you sell the product later on. So if you would like to upload a photo, you can click on the orange plus button. Sorry, you don't click on the orange plus button. You can click, there's a blue button on the left there. So I think I've downloaded an image of a mug. Here we go. That's how you easily upload a photo, and you can do multiple photos. I'm just going to do one for the point of this exercise. And then the next step is you can go to your product stock and shipping information. So there's quite a few fields to fill out here. So firstly, your SKU ID. This is just your own internal identifier for the product. Please note you can only use one SKU ID per seller portal. So if you already have a SKU ID saved somewhere else in your account, obviously you're creating your first listing now, so you won't have that problem, but later on it does try to detect duplicates. Your listing status, this is just deciding once you've created the listing, do you want it to be active immediately or do you want it to be inactive? I'm going to make it inactive. This is your price details. So your base price is the maximum retail price. So for example, for me, this might be 100 Rand. And then your selling price can't be higher than the max retail selling price. So it can be the same. But if you ever wanted to sell it at a slightly discount, so if you wanted to sell it at 95 Rand, you're able to do that. Minimum order quantity. This is just if you would like a minimum order quantity. Most people should just select one. You can ignore the maximum order quantity. Fulfillment by. Currently, we just have fulfillment by seller. This means this is your fulfillment method. So for now in Marketplace, fulfill by seller means when you make an order, a macro allocated courier will come collect the order from you and deliver it straight to the seller, to the customer. In the future, depends on when you read this or watch this video, we will have fulfill by macro as an option as well. That'll allow you to send stock to our DC where it can be housed there and sold from there. Very important, your pick pack SLA. This is telling us how long it takes you after you've received an order. How many business days does it take you to be ready for the courier to come collect? So if I put a pick pack SLA of 2 days, that's saying that if I get an order on the Tuesday, that by the end of Thursday, I will have processed the order, which means I've made the order ready for collection, I've created the waybill, and I've signaled to the courier that they can come collect. So that's what we mean by pick pack SLA, is how many days do you need to get ready for the order. That's very important. I would suggest that you do the shortest amount of days that you can easily operationally manage. So if you think you can do 1 day, but you're not 100% sure, I would say choose 2 days. If you know you can do 1 day, next day you always have stock. It's easy for you to package it. I would choose 1 day. The less amount of days you have, the shorter your promise date to the customer, which means the more likelihood that they will buy from you because they don't have to wait as long. Now, this is very important, package details. So this is the dimensions of your product when it's in its package state. So for an example, if it's a duvet cover, it's not the size of the duvet cover when it's kind of stretched out and full. It's the duvet cover folded up in its packaging when you buy it from a shop or when you're shipping it to the customer. So it's in its package state. So here, for example, for the mug, I'm going to say in the box, it's 5 centimeters, say about 10 centimeters. I'm just making up dimensions here. And then your weight, remember, so that's always in centimeters and your weight is in kgs. So let's say this is 0.5 kgs. Okay. Then some seller region, just national. That's not a required field, but I'm just going to put it in. Country of origin, I'm going to say it's South Africa. That is a required field. Manufacturer details. If there's nothing to put here, I mean, if this is just a small business and it's just yourself, you can put NA. You can put NA for packer details too. And so if you click save, you'll see that section, price, stock, and shipping, there's a green tick there, so we're done. Now, for product description, this is very important. This is where you will put the product information. So you'll see here that all these here are the attributes on the left-hand side. So model name, capacity, color. So this is all linked to the physical product itself. Now, once again, it's very important to make sure this is accurate. And what you'll notice here is that your title will be formed. And for each vertical, so mug is a vertical, there's different categories, there's a title logic at play. Title logic will determine what the title will be, and it's a combination of the brand name and some of the attributes here. So for example, model name, say it's called the T100, okay? Say the capacity, it's a 250 mil. So I can choose here, there's a drop down to say liters or milliliters. I want to say it's 250 milliliters. But obviously if I selected liters, I would have said 0.25. Then if we look at color, it is a white color. Pack of, so this is if you say it's coming as a pack of 2. When you buy the product, you're getting 2 mugs. I'm just saying it's 1. For those where you were when we looked at understanding the fees, if you thought, well, if I'm going to sell a mug for 50 Rand and it's not worth it, and I'll need to sell maybe it as a pack of three, this is where you would say, it's actually a pack of three. Packaging type, it just comes in a box, but there's a whole lot you must select from one of those drop-down options. Mug type, and if you also hover over the attribute name here, it gives you more information about what it's asking for. So mug type refers to the name or the type of collection set of the product. So here we're going to say it's a coffee mug. It's very easy. Material, let's just say it's ceramic. Sales package. Now this is also very important. Sales package just refers to, well, what are you getting in the box? So for example, if you were selling a coffee machine, it might say 1 times coffee machine, or let's say a water filter. It might be a 1 times water filter jug, 1 times actual water filter, 1 times manual. So for example here, because it's just a mug, I'm just saying you're getting 1 times mug. If you wanted to have more than one line item, you could click the plus sign there and you could say 1 times manual. You know, if it was more stuff, I could say 1 times coffee sachet, etc. if it came with the coffee sachet, but we're not going to do that. So we can delete these. Okay, so it's just the coffee mug. So that's very important with the sales package. You mustn't put too much information there. Don't put the brand name. It's just 1 times mug, 1 times coffee sachet, etc. Cool. So if I click save here, so you can see I've got the green tick, so everything is looking all right. Very important to note. So you can see what my title is going to be. So you can reverse engineer actually what the title logic is. It doesn't include it here, but generally you'll see once you actually go live on site, it'll start with the brand name and then go into the title logic. So if I go back here, I can see the title logic is a combination of the model name, then it's got ceramic coffee mug, so it's looking at the material, and then the mug type. So, and then it's got the capacity. So that's my title logic. So if this is not looking what I want it to be, you would be able to see that your free text field here is the model name. So if T100 is not what I want it to be, if I wanted to say, oh, this is called our elegant range, you know, I could call it the elegant range, save, and you can see now the title will change to elegant range ceramic coffee mug, etc. Just a point here, because that you can't choose your title, it's not going to always look exactly like how you maybe had it on your other stores or on your stock sheet. But the reason why we do it like this is because it uses attributes, and it is very good for the SEO. So it drives more traffic to macro, and specifically it drives more traffic to your product page. And it also helps for search on site as well, because generally where sellers have an issue is more the semantics, but the fact that it says coffee mug in the title, it says ceramic, that is what's going to be searched for by customers. It's going to make your product more discoverable. So if it's slightly different to what you had in mind, don't be upset. It's not going to be the end of the world. If the information is actually tangibly wrong, you must just make sure it's correct. Then that's a problem. But you are in control of making sure the information is actually accurate and correct and not misleading customers. Cool, so I'm happy with my title. I've got green ticks everywhere. If I would like to add more information, I can click on this optional additional description. And what I can do is I would suggest putting in where it says description. This is more of your uh, putting your marketing content about how this is a wonderful mug and is from the Karua, etc. You can write your whole motivation to the customer, giving them more information about why they should buy this mug and this product. Okay, but as you can see here, this is just an optional section. You don't have to complete everything there. So once you're happy to go, you can click on the send to QC. So this is sent to quality control. This goes to a team. What they will do is they will look at the information you've put. They'll look at the image quality. They'll make sure that none of our guidelines in terms of products you're allowed to sell, not allowed to sell. Nothing has been, there's no prohibited or restricted products, and everything's above board. So if I click send to QC here, you can see now my mug, it's QC in progress. If there was immediately a listing with an issue, like it was a duplicate SKU or something like that, it would have come through as an error here, like a listing creation error. If you have an error, you can click on fix errors, and it'll tell you where the issue is. So you can see there's some mandatory field that is missing as an example. So generally there will be a description of what the issue is. It generally takes about less than a day once it's QC in progress for them to come back with feedback. Another reason is if it says QC failed, that means there was an error somewhere. So if you click on it, you can see mandatory images are not found in your listing. Please provide. So you can see there's an image issue. Once you're here, you are able. So here I was given an image issue. I can edit the image and then I can resubmit to QC to try again. It'll go back into QC in progress. So that is how the listings work. As you can see, I gave you some of the main callouts. I gave you some information on how the titles are formed. I've shown you that when there's a failed, how you can go back and you can try and fix that error and resubmit. So that is the basic overview of how to create a product and how to review the status. Once it has been approved, once you've successfully submitted it, I'm not sure if there's any statuses here, but it'll have a QC passed. Here we go. It'll be green and it'll be QC passed. Once that is passed, it will then appear in your My Listings page. So for example, with the mug, I'd selected the status as inactive, so it would appear in my Listings page in an active state. If I'd selected active, it will be in an active state. So that is the basic overview of how to create products. It's a fairly simple process. It's just inputting the information correctly and selecting from attributes from a drop-down list, and making sure your photo is a good quality photo as well. So that's it. We will go to adding inventory in the next video, but I hope that was helpful in avoiding or in learning how to create a product and hopefully avoiding any issues along the way.